Bob, I just want to underscore the point about teachers, because I think the curriculum is no question important, and it's really, I think it's probably easier to get at the subject matter, but it's how is that subject matter brought to life in a way that we can engage these students. And if we aren't making sure we're supporting the best teachers to be able to connect in the best way with our students in these classrooms, we're failing them. So I know at NCLR we have a direct targeted program that looks to support teacher training and offer them the support that they need so that they can not only have the grasp of the curriculum that they themselves need to have, but to encourage them to be able to communicate it effectively to the students. So there's a lot of dynamics involved when it comes to engaging the students and having those high expectations and making sure that they can get excited about the subject matter. And we need to be exploring every one of them. And I think these organizations are all committed to making sure they're doing that in a lot of different ways.
I fully agree with you that the curriculum is a problem for many of our high school students. Having run a leadership program for middle and high school students, what they're crying for is somebody to help them understand the relevance of what they're learning in the context of who they are as Native people. They want to give back to their communities, they want to feel part of something larger than themselves, and they are not finding in the school, many of the public school, high schools, the kind of supports that they need in terms of who they are as Native young people. So I think in the remarks that we presented, we were talking about additional supports, career academies, things that tie them directly to the needs of their communities so they are brought back to understanding who they are as Native people, so there's relevance in what they learn in the curriculum.
I would just briefly add the resource equity piece. Another of the many reasons why far too many of these kids are dropping out is, imagine, if you will, going to a school where the toilets in the bathroom don't work, the sinks don't work, the blackboards are crumbling, there's never enough chalk, you have severely outdated textbooks or an inadequate number of textbooks. All of these are resource-related issues, and comparatively speaking, you might look at a school, say, Southeast Washington, D.C., downtown Kansas City versus Bethesda, Maryland, or somewhere else. Kids get it. They know what's going on, and when they see a system that devalues their personhood, they lose interest in education. They lose interest in going into that schoolhouse.
Yes, I would also like to add that you may have a highly qualified teacher in the school, but if that teacher is not effective, is not being creative and meeting all of those students' needs, then the quality piece doesn't fit with those students, but being effective does. And if you look in this pamphlet on page 6, you'll see that it does have several bullet points on there, but I'd like for you to take an opportunity to look at 6 and talk about where it speaks about students and their teachers. Thank you.
Yeah, I would also like to draw everyone's attention to, because I think it's a very important question, on relevance in the classroom, the adequacy of the courses, meeting the students' needs and engaging them where they live. And the Campaign for High School Equity speaks to that on page 6 in terms of aligning high school standards and assessments with what's needed in the workplace and in college, with requiring states to publicly support access to college prep and to community and technical programs, to provide meaningful information and other support for parents seeking the rigorous curriculum for their child, to promote culturally relevant content knowledge, and ensure that all students receive the rigorous and engaging, just the point you made, engaging classes in their core subjects. Now, before I turn to others, let me see if there are any other members of the media, because some of you are on deadline. So, sir, I see you've got the pad out, the characteristic sign. If you would.
Sure. Chris Kiddo, Education Daily. Yeah. So you're going to deliver the letter to the members of Congress. What is going to happen after that? What's your strategy? And also, I know that many of your organizations have submitted your recommendations for reauthorization. So how does that play into the coalition's, policy recommendations as well?
Does anyone want to speak about their organizations and the relation to the coalition first? Sure.
I think the exciting piece about this collaborative collaborative is after this launch that we're going to be able to, each of our organizations has our own initiatives around education. This is an opportunity to sync those different initiatives. And so what I think we all agree that what will happen after this launch is that each of the organizations will come to the table, talk about the kinds of events and activities, and combine some of the efforts in the future. For example, some of the things that we want to do are national days where we bring educators who are from our communities to D.C. to talk about really how the impact happens to them at the local level. And I suspect that we'll do that in combination with a number of the advocates at the table. And it'll be very exciting to be in a legislator's office and have the opportunity to have African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans be in the same room talking about education reform in a united way. So that's just one example.
Yeah, another example might be we all have sort of annual conferences, which are huge gatherings, not just of our constituencies, but other stakeholders, and we use those conferences to highlight education and workshop tracks, specifically around No Child Left Behind. So we're going to be using not only our grassroots approaches to making sure we're educated and informed, but also to talk about how we can mobilize to do the advocacy around the reforms that we believe are important.
LULAC has 17 and actually overall about 56 learning centers, and so this is how we're going to work together in coalition of what we're already doing in reference to making sure that our kids stay in school and also be prepared for college. So those learning centers are very important. 57 is all over the United States, to include Puerto Rico and target cities. So we also have our national convention, which we do have, educational workshops for our students, college fairs, all of those are training grounds at our national convention, which we will be held in Chicago this year, July the 9th to the 14th in Chicago.
In terms of reauthorization, I think if you look at all of the plans and recommendations that have been submitted by the various organizations up here, you will find very little difference, very little variation. There may be specific areas where things are emphasized a bit stronger than others, but generally, overall, we all occupy the same space as it relates to general recommendations for reauthorization.
I just want to add one more comment. NIA is also working with a broad-based coalition of educators and legislators to impact policy at the state level. Later this summer, we have a gathering of Indian National Council of State Legislators, the Governor's Interstate Intertribal Council, tribal leaders, NIA, and so forth. So we will take our own responsibilities forward with our own community to further the needs of high school students.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to point out that each of these organizations has been and has a great track record in advocating for education. Each has been active in some way, in their own way, in promoting high school reform as well. This is the first time ever to have this collaboration, specifically everyone working together around high school reform. And the points on which we agree are many. I have time, because we only have the room for one more minute or so, for one more question. And you've been standing patiently, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor, and the panel. My name is Gary Flowers. I'm the Executive Director of the Black Leadership Forum, which is an alliance of black organizations, civil rights and civic, among them NAACP and Urban League. And I wanted to address the gentleman's question before one of our member organizations with respect to parental involvement. Rainbow Push Coalition goes to the homes of parents and has them sign a pledge to do 7 things: to accompany their children to school, to meet their children's teachers, to exchange home numbers with their children's teachers, because a relationship brings about greater performance, to turn off the television at least 1 hour per night, to pick up report cards every 6 weeks, and then to follow up with the principal at the end of the year or the teacher for the progress of that child. And in addition, there is also a program that they take parents from a poor school to an affluent school that's both public education, to exchange so that parents and students can see how other students are educated. And it's had a tremendous effect on not only the students and the parents, but on policymakers in that area. And I can connect you to the National Education Director as one of the BLF members, if you'd like to afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you.